For Pete's sake, man.
Welcome to a brand new episode of For Pete's Sake. I'm your host Pete, joined alongside Gibby and Trev.
Finally call me Gibby. I love it.
The lighting will get progressively better each week if you're watching on YouTube.
Have a good weekend there, Gibbs.
Pete, I just had the best weekend I think I've ever had in my life. The Lions won. Michigan State football won. Michigan football lost. And my fantasy team picked up the W. This has never happened to me before.
It's a pretty good weekend right there.
Yeah, we're riding high right now.
No, for a football weekend, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah, just like you can never rely on the Lions to pick up the fourth leg of that. But they got it done this week.
Well, today we're going to break down Week 3 of the NFL, talk some college athletics, discuss a little LaMelo Ball news, and wrap up with a little Premier League talk by Trev here. But first, Rye Guy, let's talk about our undefeated Detroit Lions.
Well, they are undefeated, but I don't know if it feels that way. Well,
they got that tie in there.
By no means was this win against the Eagles pretty, and I want to say the tie against the Cardinals wasn't pretty either, and I feel like
even the win against the Chargers
game against the Chargers was a toss-up, and all these games could have went either way, but at the end of the day, we are picking up the win.
Well, those feel like typical games that we lose to. Those ugly games late in the game, we'd always find a way to lose. But last 2 weeks, found a way to win.
But at the same time, these are some of the games where we do win, and you buy back in, and then they just let you down again.
Well, at the moment, though, we're on the up of the roller coaster. We're not going down yet. But a big win versus the Eagles. That was one of the playoff teams people were projecting at the beginning of this year. So that's a big win there. Defeat the Chargers last week. They looked as good, but
in their defense, they didn't have Jeffrey. They didn't have Jackson. But
we don't have to do
a win.
Defense.
A win is a win. I mean, they had a lot of drop balls too at the end of the game where those should have been catches, but they didn't catch them. And I mean, it is what it is. You just got to play the schedule in front of you and win those games.
This honestly looked like Philadelphia under Andy Reid, where sure they looked good a lot of the time, but you knew there was some critical mistake that was going to keep them from winning a game.
Gosh, the Andy Reid hate right there.
Well, I mean, he's sort of ironed that out in Kansas City, but a lot of those Philadelphia teams in the mid-2000s really should have done better than they did. But no, fair credit to the Lions. I mean, I still don't believe in them really in the NFC North. I think I saw a stat today that the NFC North is undefeated against teams not from the NFC North currently.
Yeah, that's true.
That includes a tie.
That does.
Yeah.
So we're actually on the bottom end there.
Well, probably the best division of football right now. I think everybody is above 500 as a winning record in that division.
There's no awful team. There's not a great team either, but there are a bunch of good to average teams.
I mean, that's going to start to be a problem for us because we get into that division schedule, and Green Bay already has 2 wins against the Bears.
Well, we're going to beat up on each other, all the opponents in the division. I guess we're all so good.
I don't know if Green Bay, like you said, they've already got 2 wins, though. So
Bears and Vikings, yeah.
They got a head start on everyone for sure.
They're
1/4
of the way there.
Well, anyways, the Lions are one of the undefeated teams in the NFL. Should we preview next week's matchup versus the Kansas City Chiefs? Patrick Mahomes coming to town.
It's a home game, right?
It is, with Mahomie.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to help us.
No, but, it's...
They do have some injury stuff going on.
No Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek's not going to play. I know they're kind of banged up, but they just kind of fill in guys, and these guys are still making plays. And not just making plays, but Mahomes just makes everyone look that much better, too.
Well, this feels like one of those classic Lions games where there's no expectations. I mean, no one is going to pick the Lions to beat the Chiefs, and for pretty good reason. I mean, Chiefs are probably one of the top 2 teams in the NFL right now, so no pressure on the Lions here, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously a top 3 team in the AFC. I know the Ravens have been a bit of a surprise thus far, but they're definitely still in the conversation. This should be the game where the Lions come back down to earth. Kansas City, to me, just has too much talent to really let this game go, unless there's an injury to Mahomes early on or something.
I want to say my expectation for this game is to go out there and just play well. The last 3 games we haven't been able to finish. We could have blown out all 3 of those teams at certain points. We haven't been able to finish those games. So I just wanted to see a more well-rounded product. And even if we do lose, we're playing one of the best 2 teams in the NFL.
Well, that's where the no pressure kind of comes in there as well. Well, and I mean, it'll remain to be seen here because obviously the Chiefs have one of the best offenses in the league, and even if you slow them down, they're still going to put up 30-something points. I just don't know if the Lions' offense is capable putting up so many points, even if you slow down the Chiefs, like I said, to 35
Yeah,
points.
I mean, I would expect really slow. I think we're going to go back to the run, just like a slow offense, kind of try to wear them down on defense, be able to manage the time of possession from a play calling standpoint on the O.
Well, Mahomes is in those new State Farm ads. Aaron Rodgers, you seen those?
As long as they got Rodgers and Mahomes, they got to kick Rodgers out of those. Did you see the one with his agent? Like his actual agent is in the commercial too.
Is that his actual agent? Like in those?
It might be. I think it is actually. Yeah, because they've made the whole joke that he's got the State Farm agent and the agent.
I've always wondered that in those ads. If that is his actual agent in real life.
No, it's his real agent.
As long as they don't sneak Danica Patrick into those ads.
Oh God.
I mean, that's really.
They're still dating. Her and Rodgers.
I knew you were gonna bring that up, Trev.
It's the only reason she's still relevant.
I got the NASCAR connections. To be fair to her though, dumping Ricky Stenhouse for Aaron Rodgers, that's a big upgrade.
Gibby just told me that exact thing earlier today.
Yeah, I know he did. He's a big Ricky Stenhouse fan, even though he crashes every other week.
Huge fan.
You're gonna say Jerry Stackhouse, aren't you?
Something like that, yeah.
Close enough, really.
But yeah, no, I mean, just to sum up the Lions, we're 2-0-1, and I think for how we're playing, we could even improve from this point on.
Well, yeah, like you said, they haven't won pretty so far, if you can use that term. A bunch of ugly wins there, but a win's a win, undefeated, kind of, with that tie in there. Give a little credit to Patricia. We kind of been ripping on him for the past couple of weeks here, some of the time management. But 2 wins against quality opponents there, that's something to take notice of. So like I said, undefeated Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
kind of.
He's been a better coach this
Week
year
3
than
in the season.
Either of the Michigan college coaches.
Well, we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. It's an excellent teaser, Trev.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like we mentioned, the Lions are one of the undefeated teams in the NFL. Do you guys want to hear what the other undefeated teams are?
Let me hear it.
We got the Patriots.
Obviously.
Got the Bills.
I got to say, I don't think anyone, even in Buffalo, saw that coming.
They look good. I mean, Josh Allen, they're looking good.
Yeah, he's performing above expectations, I think, because most people saw him as sort of a bottom third quarterback going into the year.
I can see him making the playoffs.
Well, we got also the Chiefs, Cowboys, Rams, 49ers, Packers, Lions. But I want to play a game for you guys here called Real or Not Real.
I mean, this game's going to be pretty easy.
Is of all those teams in here, you just got to mention if you think their start is sustainable or it's just a fluke. You guys ready? So Patriots, I'm assuming, is real, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, unless there's an injury to Brady at some point this year, there's no reason why they wouldn't be.
Next one was the Bills. You guys kind of already started talking about that.
Like, they're not as good as 3-0, but I mean, they're going to be a playoff contender. I think they're going to make a push for that wild card.
Well, anytime you start out with 3 wins.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the AFC, too, if you look at it, it's really top-heavy. It's not very deep, so...
Well, it's also a terrible division that they're in. I mean, they play the Dolphins. I don't think they played the Dolphins yet, so they'll play the Dolphins twice.
Jets.
The Jets
They got to play the Patriots, but
those could be 3 wins right there.
Still, I mean, if that goes well, you're 4-2 in division, so...
What about the Kansas City Chiefs? Obviously.
Yeah.
Not real.
I think they proved they proved last year.
Mahomes is terrible. Obviously regressing in his second year.
Robert Griffin III, V2.
He's on the Ravens. He's the backup for Lamar.
RG3?
Do you ever think that RG3 would last longer than Andrew Luck?
He threw a touchdown pass earlier this year.
Was it versus the Dolphins?
Yeah, first game of the season.
God, they're bad.
I mean, let's be honest here, Pete. The only reason he's still in the league is because he needs the paycheck. And Andrew Luck probably doesn't.
Wolf. Hey, he's helping out Lamar Jackson, though.
He is, though. He's a good role model for him.
They both play like a similar kind of game.
The Dallas Cowboys are also undefeated.
Yeah, they're legit.
Legit in the regular season. I don't trust them in the playoffs.
But until then, they might be the number 1 seed in the NFC just based on the teams in their
Miami
division.
kept it close in the first quarter of that game.
They put up 6 points. But they did.
It was 10-6 at the end of the first.
Even at halftime, it was still relatively close. Yeah. The Los Angeles Rams, Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, obviously they're legit. They're the real deal.
Yep, no arguments there.
The next one's a little bit interesting because I don't think many people realize they're undefeated. The San Francisco 49ers with Jimmy G.
They're borderline for me because the NFC West is still a relatively strong division.
Yeah.
I think Seattle could come up on them at some point.
Who have they played this year? Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
I know they played the Buccaneers and the Bengals. So those are 2 teams.
Those are 2 not great teams.
Ones. They beat Pittsburgh.
There you go. 3 teams that, I don't believe in Pittsburgh either.
They're 0-3.
To be fair to them, they have a pretty easy start to the year. They got Cleveland next, who has been underwhelming thus far. The Rams will be a good test for them, but then they have...
I mean, their offense is good. They can move the ball down the field.
After that, they have Washington, Carolina, and Arizona, none of which have been impressive at all.
They won't be hanging around for long,
But
I don't think.
they could be a 7-1 team.
He's right. This is based on the schedule. And I don't think they're that good either, but just based on the schedule they have.
So I think if you're talking about them making the playoffs, I think at this point you have to consider them.
Oh, definitely.
Not as like a deep threat in the NFC.
Well, it's kind of that classic West Coast team in sports where you don't get to see them as much. I know in the NFL it's a little bit different because you do get to see every single team. But we're obviously closer to the East Coast here in Michigan. We don't
Checking out those 1 o'clock games.
We don't pay as close attention to the teams that are out west, unfortunately. That's for all sports.
Yeah, the U.S. is freaking huge, and we encompass 3 time zones.
I was going to say 3 time zones there. Talking Pacific.
So 4 technically, actually.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Oof. It's a bad mistake there. The Green Bay Packers. Great defense so far.
Yeah, I think we sort of talked about this earlier. There's a bunch of really good teams in the NFC North, but I don't think there's a truly great one. They've definitely started the best.
Well, and their offense has not been very overwhelming either. It's mostly been
Rodgers,
their defense.
he hasn't looked all that great this year, Rodgers. I mean, he hasn't looked bad either, but he hasn't been in his pure Rodgers form.
Yeah, there's been some verbal arguments, I believe, between him and the new coach.
Matt LaFleur.
Yeah. So,
French.
I mean, they do have those 2 division wins already against Vikings and the Bears. I mean, that's going to help them out a lot in the playoff run.
Yeah, they have the quarterback for me, too, to be considered for real, even though with the coaching situation, they could potentially just implode at some point, but I don't really see it with the division that they're in.
Yeah, and Rodgers has obviously got to stay healthy, too.
We're talking about great quarterbacks. The final team there is the Detroit Lions. Matty Stafford.
Are they
Matty
pretenders?
Steady.
Do you think they were pretenders? They beat the Eagles. They beat the Chargers, who are both potential playoff teams.
Well, they have an easier schedule, like I said, because they're the last place team. Last year, so they play weaker opponents than the other teams. I think we're going to learn a lot about them versus the Chiefs. I think as long as they can stay competitive versus the Chiefs, I think you can think that they might be a playoff contender. However, if they look like the Lions we've seen for the past couple of years, getting blown out, given the division that they're in, I don't think that I would have as much faith in them.
I think you nailed that spot on. I think our team is going to be one of those teams that's good enough to hang around in these games, make it a possession game at the end, and we've won those games so far, but I think it's going to come down to the point where we're going to start losing a couple of those.
Yeah, we're a fringe wild card team here. I don't think we're even a favorite still in the NFC to make it into the playoffs, but we've started well, and so far we haven't really. Maybe we just haven't seen it yet, but we haven't seen the traditional sort of Lions collapse.
I don't know. Arizona was close, man.
It was, but I mean, they didn't lose. They did not lose, which
still undefeated.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, they're hard to have faith in with their past record, even with a relatively new coaching staff.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
Hear them roar. Hear them.
You're on your own.
Yeah.
Well, another thing we like to do each week is break down the top fantasy players, because face it, most people that watch football will also play fantasy football. We know a couple people that don't watch the NFL but still play fantasy football. So a little update for them here.
Yours truly.
Top QB, Patrick Mahomes.
No, is this off?
This is just
overall
total scoring overall.
Yeah, no surprise there, obviously.
Yeah, he's been going off.
I mean, people were expecting regression this year. Haven't seen it at all. Dude is going to make a first player in the NFL to get a $40 million deal.
He might throw for 60 touchdowns, just the pace that he's on right now.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's whenever Tom Brady does decide to retire, this guy's becoming the face of the league.
Yeah.
Agreed there. Yeah. Running back is Dalvin Cook leading the scoring there.
It's a little bit of a surprise.
The Vikings have ran the ball a ton this year. I know because I just went up against Dalvin Cook in the fantasy matchup.
Yeah, they never throw it.
He's a very good runner. He runs aggressively, man. He's running over people, so it's good to see him healthy. He's been hurt the past couple of years.
It's good for their offense, too. If Cousins is throwing the ball, he's not throwing picks.
Throws the ball 10 times a game, man. We could play quarterback.
Honestly, Kirk Cousins is still in those MSU Federal Credit Union commercials.
Oh, man. Is he?
I think so, yeah. Where he's got the lollipop.
Captain Kirk.
There it is.
Top wide receiver is Keenan Allen. Trev, is on your team there?
Yeah, no, he had a really big week last week for the Chargers there.
Evan Ingram is a top tight end. Again, I versed him last week. I already know how good of a player he's been this year. Bit of a surprise there, I think, with Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Zach Ertz. You would have expected one of those names to be up there, but it's Evan Ingram instead.
There's been a couple standout tight ends, especially rookies too.
Yeah,
like
Mark Andrews as well, who I think was the top tight end last week, but still having a good year.
He sucked last week for me. The top defense is the Patriots. That defense has not allowed a touchdown this year.
Look who they played, though.
I know, but
can you expect the Jets or Dolphins to score on anyone?
But still,
they're good. Are they that good? I mean, I guess they have.
They were good last year in the Super Bowl too. That's why they have a very good secondary.
Yeah.
Bears are up there too.
Yeah, I would imagine after last night, especially, that they would be pretty close to him.
They had a big night, and then the top kicker again from last week, Joey Sly. It's the Carolina kicker. Sly?
I would guess Sly.
Close enough.
It's a weird name, man.
Had anyone heard of this guy before the year?
No.
No. Freaking kickers.
Should we transition to the Monday night game? You
Yeah.
guys watch it?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted
Got a little bit of it.
I mean, if you didn't watch it, what's the point? It was basically over the second it started.
Well, you really enjoy those Genesis halftime shows, right, Gibbs?
Yeah. What's going on with the Genesis halftime show? I'm glad you brought it up because like ESPN always like talks these things up. Like, oh, we're gonna have. I think last night it was Blink 182.
Yeah, it was.
And
they played
like,
one song.
They play one song and it's not even at the stadium.
It's just like taped.
It's like a concert that they perform beforehand. What's the point? Like, what's with it? Why do they talk it up? I don't know. I'm just frustrated by this.
They try to make it like a mini Super Bowl halftime with one song.
I mean, it's been going on for a year. No one's like brought this up. It's not like a real halftime show.
Honestly, if I'm Genesis too, like you're a really new car brand. This is for those who don't know, this is Hyundai's sort of version of like Lexus, where they're trying to get into the luxury car market. I think they just launched this brand like 2 years ago. Why would you want to be sponsoring a show that's so negatively received when you're just trying to make a positive impression on the market that you've just entered?
I mean, I think people like it. Or at least like ESPN makes it seem that way.
I mean, yeah, that's what...
Next week, I think they got Snoop Dogg. I don't know. Let's see how that goes.
D-O-double-G.
Are they going to have any like artists that are relevant right now?
I doubt it.
I guess Blink 182 is a pretty big name. So is Snoop Dogg. I mean, relatively speaking for big names there, I think that's... I don't know what hit song Snoop Dogg has, but it's a bigger name to have at least.
Yeah, but I mean, these bands and Snoop Dogg, their big hits were 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a little bit washed up.
Whoa.
I mean,
heavy words there.
I mean, Snoop Dogg will appear in any song that offers him a paycheck. That's just
Can we blame him?
Stop hating on Snoop Dogg. I thought California Girls was a great song for him.
Banger.
I forgot he was in that, to be told.
Certified banger.
You know you listen to it.
I mean, it gets the people going. It's a jam.
Well, for the actual game, for those who did watch, and for those who
honestly,
didn't...
as much as I just ripped on the Genesis halftime show, it was way better than the game.
Oh, it was. I was looking forward to it.
The game was terrible.
Didn't watch the game, but watched the halftime show.
And at least there's actually talking points about the halftime show.
Not the game. Well, here's the talking points that I came up with. They actually have nothing to do with the game. But just bringing up this, I think we brought this up a couple weeks ago, too, that Chicago drafted Mitch Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, and just imagine how good that team would be if they had one of those two quarterbacks.
Unstoppable.
They would easily be the best team in the NFC.
Would have still the best
in the
defense.
NFL.
Yeah.
They still have a guy in a rookie contract there, especially the Deshaun Watson, because Patrick Mahomes, people weren't quite sure because they hadn't seen him play a ton at Texas Tech. Everyone saw Deshaun Watson play at Clemson and saw how good he was. So why he got skipped over by so many teams, I just don't understand. You see this year how well he's doing for
Trubisky's been struggling all year, too. He just threw his first touchdown pass of the season last night.
Mitch.
I mean, they did realize North Carolina's a basketball school, right? Like, it's not a football academy producing these great NFL players.
I mean, the team he has around him is so good, and it just is going to come down to, like, how far can he carry him? How far can he get him through?
And that's what's handicapping them. That's what's going to cause it for not being one of the top teams.
I mean, it was a close game at one point. I think it was like 15-28, two-score game at one point in the fourth quarter.
I'm glad you watched it for us today.
I had to because the Bears' defense almost killed my fantasy team.
And then he woke up, and 5 hours later to get Daniel Jones in free agency?
Worth it.
Wait, you beat me too on
championship.
You knew I was looking at him.
I knew you were going to be up at 6, so I had to snag him at 5:30.
Trev, you're probably up at 5:15?
Oh, yeah. No, I was up. I actually just didn't go to bed.
You just waited.
I waited, but I decided
I've thought about that approach before.
I decided my team was perfect and didn't pick anyone up.
Yeah, I wish I had that problem.
Confidence right there. Well, that's the other thing that happened in the actual game. Actually, well,
Case Keenum sucks.
Yeah, is that news?
that's not what I was going to bring up. But yeah, he sucks. He still led the Vikings to that NFC Championship game a couple years ago. What a fluke year that was. Him versus Nick Foles in that game.
Yeah, was that the year? Oh no, Blake Bortles was the year before that.
Oh my
too.
god.
Was that the same year? I think it was.
It might have been because I know Jacksonville made it to the NFC Championship.
We had championship games of Bortles versus Brady, obviously, and then we had Keenum versus Foles.
The age of quarterbacks. I wish I could go back.
God,
They
I don't
got
know how Brady got in there.
with that kind of talent to compete with.
Exactly. Is Blake Bortles still in the league?
Yeah, he's
backing up.
Yeah.
No, there's always a backup QB job.
They got to keep him around.
That's what you forget about these like early draft
2,
picks
3 strings
that fill out, and then you'll see
practice
him
squad.
like a Mark Sanchez. You'll see him like a few years later holding the clipboard on the sideline.
Or
You're
it's like these
there he
dudes
is.
retired and then like 2 quarterbacks get injured. They have to call someone in.
Blake Bortles is currently Jared Goff's backup
Whoa.
for the Rams.
For the Rams,
Well,
man,
if Goff-
he might get a ring.
if
might.
Goff got hurt, man, imagine Blake
the Super
Bortles
Bowl?
checking in.
Honestly, you got playoff experience
Content.
there.
That's true.
It's better than the Lions' backup quarterback situation.
Well, the other thing that happened in the game was on the sidelines. Did you see this video? They had the Gatorade, like,
Oh yeah, the mixing
yeah,
situation.
the guy mixed the Gatorade with paper cups. How unsanitary is that? First off, I've never seen that happen
Was
before.
that on the Bears side?
Yeah, it's on the Bears sideline. He took like one of those huge, tubes
Yeah.
of paper cups that probably had like 20, 30 of them in there, and he used that to stir up the Gatorade. First off, does Gatorade need to be stirred?
He's just trying to do his job. I don't know why he has to get destroyed on Twitter.
Why is he using that to stir, man?
I think it's innovation. What else? Who knows what else you had to stir?
Why do you need to stir it? Was it like a powder?
Yeah, you got to stir the powder. You
Probably
don't,
throwing
you want
some
all the
protein
powder
powder in
to
there.
sink to
Oh,
the
they
bottom.
might have thrown some protein powder. I just thought of Gatorade in general. I'm like, why would you need to mix up Gatorade?
I mean, it's like 2 scoops of powder, 1 scoop of water. And I don't know. There's some secret formula or
I
something.
should just
to
buy
it.
it in the, in the actual
Like
bottle.
a normal person.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe with a Gatorade bucket that's that big, you might have to stir it to keep it like circulating. I don't know.
Well, maybe he didn't have any other tools available, and maybe this was the only thing he had. It's like, I gotta stir this up. Here's a tube of paper cups. Let me just stir it up. If you haven't seen the video, go look it up.
I've seen the video. I know what you're referencing, and it's just like I can't rip on another guy's job. Like he knows his job better than I know his job.
He was doing the best he could.
He's just trying to go to work.
Well, it's a great video. That was the one takeaway I think everybody had from that game last night was the guy that was stirring the Gatorade.
Honestly, more exciting than anything that happened in that game.
Well, other football news, a guy that's not currently playing football right now, Antonio Brown, he's enrolled at Central Michigan University.
Fire up chips.
Yikes.
Well, he re-enrolled.
Is he allowed to play on their football team still?
I don't think
Does he have a year left of eligibility?
I don't think so. I think as soon as you go pro, you don't have eligibility anymore.
Well, unfortunately, he's taking online classes, but I was thinking, like, how cool would it be if you showed up to class and AB was, like, sitting next to you? And I guess my question here is, do you think he'd be a good group partner?
No, and that you and I both had the same thought in a group message we were talking about. That imagine just having him in like a Google Doc and being like, "Yo, Antonio, you gotta do these 4 slides or something. You gotta put your paragraphs in there."
Throw in, like, your group conversation, discussion point.
What do you think he's gonna do? I don't think he's contributing to that.
He's not going to do anything.
I mean, he wouldn't show up to play football for like the Raiders because of his helmet. Is he gonna contribute to this?
Okay, let's be honest. There's no way he's actually taking these classes. Like, he's obviously paying someone or, like, has a tutor or something. Like, there's no way he's,
You know what, man?
getting on his computer
He might be
Sunday
there.
night, throwing in a discussion post on D2L.
Well, sometimes those online classes, you have to show up like a one day. You know what I mean? Like the
Oh,
beginning
yeah,
of the semester.
like the hybrid.
Mandatory attendance at certain times.
Yeah. Think he's gonna show up to those? That would be
No,
interesting if you just see Antonio Brown.
I mean, he
walking
would
in.
stick out like a sore thumb.
Well, the other thing I was thinking is Antonio Brown is, what if you didn't know he was a football player? So you just see this guy in your groups, like, oh, this
He's
guy
got
named
some
Antonio.
whack hair, a blonde mustache.
Yeah, it's like, who is this guy? He's in my group. Well, he's going back to get that education.
I mean, yeah.
Can't hate on him for
I
that.
think he could take a little bit out of his course load, too. Like, he's got a religion class.
Yeah.
Maybe
Interesting
maybe
courses
he'll
there.
come back a new person after he
Yeah, what is
takes
he
his
actually
last semester
studying?
of college.
I don't know, just taking some generic courses.
Just get more knowledge.
Yeah, we
Still-
could all use it.
Still undecided at however old he is.
General studies.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a classic. But, something to do in the meantime.
Well, just to kind of follow up that story, there's another story we've been talking about on the podcast a little bit, and I think we can finally say that OJ's fantasy team is officially cursed.
Oh, man.
He obviously drafted AB, and look how that turned out. He drafted Andrew Luck, and Luck retired right after he drafted him.
Do we know of another player?
And then now he drafted Barkley with the number 1 overall pick,
man.
and he's expected to miss 4 to 8 weeks now.
The O.J. Simpson fantasy curse?
And I'm just saying, like, you got to watch out because I think everyone on this roster is about to be gone this year. Like, all those guys are gone.
Yeah. Can we figure out what the rest of his roster is?
That's what I'm wondering.
We
He's
need
got
to
to
do
come out and
we
say
need to
it.
do like some deep web kind of research here and figure it out.
Maybe he knows this and he's just waiting to tease
No,
it.
it's just like the Madden curse, but way worse because it doesn't just affect one player; it affects like up to like 16.
What would you think if he all of a sudden released all the players in his fantasy team and you're one of those players and you've seen what's happened to 3 of the other people on this team?
You just can't play.
You just,
I mean, it's still gonna get you no matter what, though.
yeah. You just hope it's somebody that's not important to your team.
I really want to know who else is on the team because I believe that there is the O.J. Simpson fantasy curse. Do you believe it?
Obviously, like his first 3 picks are all like injured or
Well, I don't
gone,
even-
just gone from the NFL. Like probably will never play again.
I don't even know about believing it. I think it's a fact at
fact.
this point. Just the evidence supporting it.
Oh, of course. Especially since he's been back on social media too. It's like the combination of his Twitter plus the fantasy football. That's a disaster.
There's something going on. We need to investigate this.
Well, hopefully we'll have more for you guys about that next week, see what more comes out there. Another thing we like to touch on in these episodes is Michigan State and UMich recaps of the games. Michigan State, big win versus Northwestern, team that they have struggled with the past couple of
Honestly,
years.
yeah. I was nervous going into this game just because the ASU game, excuse me, and
You're good.
we handled Northwestern. I think we won 31-10,
Big win.
and
and
I mean we dominated that game, and it was a good bounce back win for us.
Yeah, it was really. I mean, Northwestern got that sort of consolation touchdown right at the end, but for most of this game, it was a 4-score game.
Yeah, our offense played well. I did have a problem with I just want to see D'Antonio. I don't know why we're still shuffling backs around. I just want to see Collins. Collins is our best running back. Just
I
throw
agree.
him on the field. Let's see what happens with him.
Yeah, I think he's proven through the first 4 games of the year that he should be the guy going forward.
Yeah. And, I mean, we have Indiana next week, and I think that's another team that we should be able to handle before we get into, the meat of our schedule.
Got a tough schedule coming up, though, after
Yeah.
that. Penn State, Ohio State are in there. I believe
Michigan.
Wisconsin as well.
Yeah.
Michigan later on.
Yeah, the East is brutal. Plus, we got Wisconsin on. It looks like the year of their sort of revival.
Well, talking about Wisconsin, they had a big win versus Michigan. And Gibby, I think you called that last week.
I mean, it just seems like the rest of the world is finally seeing what Harbaugh is and how he is as a coach.
Well, it was a bad game for him.
Yeah, they got
Definitely.
absolutely walloped, destroyed.
I'm interested to hear kind of what Michigan fans think about Harbaugh from
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I love him personally. I'm not a Michigan fan, but I hope he stays.
No,
Yeah.
that's the thing. We've seen this coming for so long where, he's not – I don't want to say he's a bad coach, but he's not the good
not-
coach everyone claims him to be.
He's not a big game coach.
He's never been in the Big Ten championship game. He's never won a Big Ten championship.
He's never beaten Ohio State.
Well, I will say, in defense of kind of Michigan fans, again, we touched on this last week, kind of just look at what you had beforehand. I know this is not, you're not competing for the national championships like you thought you would with Harbaugh. However, he has made your program a lot more relevant than it was in the past. So it's kind of, you're weighing those two options there of, if you want to get rid of Harbaugh, can you bring in somebody who's going to keep up that same level of relevance? Because that's what a lot of this college football is. You want to remain relevant. That's how you get the great recruits and stuff. So,
Well, that's the thing. Harbaugh is getting 4-star guys where, D'Antonio's getting 2-3-star guys, and we're still, I want to say, somewhat at, an even level.
and that's what the problem is. That's where Michigan fans are frustrated. They're saying, we're getting these
Exactly.
great recruits. However, it's not translating into Big Ten championships. That's a tough one for me.
Of course. I gotta say, I think that's a problem for both programs because there were, especially after the Arizona State game, there was some talk on whether or not it's time for D'Antonio to step aside. And there's no obvious candidate for either program. I know Les Miles has been linked with Michigan for what seems like forever, but is he really a step up from Harbaugh?
That's the thing. He
Yeah.
might be a better coach, but you don't know that for sure
Well,
necessarily.
I think he's a better. He's essentially Harbaugh from like a southeastern perspective instead of a West Coast because he always recruited really well at LSU. And I feel like they underperformed a lot of those years.
I think he won one title.
Yeah.
I think.
And then with Michigan State, it's not like Nick Saban's coming back.
You never
Yeah,
know.
no, it's the thing. Like who, I wish, but like we're not gonna be able to pull someone. Like D'Antonio kind of came out of nowhere. He wasn't like this big name coach or anything before he came here.
He had done well.
He's really built the program.
He had done well at Cincinnati, and they just took a chance on him, and it worked out. And I feel like whenever he does go, that's unless they stay in house, which, God, if they do.
Not an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Please be somebody defensive if they.
And I mean, I wouldn't say Harbaugh or even D'Antonio for that matter necessarily like on the hot seat just yet, unless the season goes south.
Well, I think Harbaugh's seat is hotter than D'Antonio just because of the expectations that come with a Michigan job. And it's been a couple of years now where he hasn't been able to, as Trev said, win the big game, beat Ohio State.
I just feel like he's looked at as the guy there. And
He is. That's the thing. Like I said, he's made
like
that
he is the program.
He's
He's the face of the program, even the face of the school for that matter.
made him
especially
relevant
with
again.
Beeline being gone from the basketball program.
That's like I said, that's the one danger I would mention to
Yeah,
Michigan
I was
fans.
looking at some like Vegas lines, and it's even money on him to be the coach for Michigan's first game in 2020. I thought that was interesting.
He could go pro as well. I mean, look at the Cleveland Browns. They got a lot of talent.
They need a new coach.
They're not doing too well. Their coach is making a lot of mistakes. I'm calling it right now. Jim Harbaugh, Cleveland Browns, collision course right
the end
there.
of this year.
A second Michigan coach that goes to Cleveland.
He's going to Cleveland. I'm calling it right
Yeah,
now.
there you go. You can hang out with Beeline.
Yeah.
And then I like Trev's idea, Les Miles to Michigan. After this year, book it.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer to Michigan. What?
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm just like, is he really gonna ruin his legacy at Ohio State to do that?
No.
No, never. That's not a possibility. He's going out west. If he, SEC.
I would love to see it.
Honestly,
Going out west, SEC.
Yeah,
a program
Pac-12.
a program that comes to mind here, and that it might be a bit of an outside one. It's one he's already been at, but they're in the Pac-12 now, and they weren't when he coached there. But Utah.
The Utes.
I mean, there's no way he's going to coach Big Ten in the Big Ten again.
No,
Like you can't do that.
well, he's an Ohio guy originally, right? So
I think so.
yeah, no.
If not, oh well. Well, those are the college recaps there. A little topic we want to touch on here, a guy that did not go to college but is making headlines recently, is LaMelo Ball. He's playing in Australia right now. Many of you know him as Lonzo's younger brother, son of LeVar Ball, son of LiAngelo Ball as well.
Yeah, he scored 92 points in a high school game, just cherry picking the
I was
entire.
going to say cherry picked the whole time, but that's how he got his name there. Well, he's playing in Australia right now, and according to a number of scouts, he's looking really good, and they're projecting him as possibly one of the top picks in next year's draft. I think they had him at number 3 on the big board right
Dang.
now. Of course, it's early, but
This is the youngest Ball brother.
this is the youngest one, LaMelo.
Yeah, LiAngelo really hadn't worked out there.
Oof. The little stealing thing.
Oh, yeah.
The
Which
theft
end?
thing in China is tough.
Yikes.
I got a question I want to put out to you guys.
What do you got?
The better Mello right now, LaMelo or Carmelo?
I mean, I guess
How
LaMelo actually
dare
has a
you,
future
man.
there, right?
Yeah.
How dare you? Carmelo's the greatest
At-
USA basketball athlete of all time.
I'm not debating their entire careers. I'm saying at this current moment in time.
You want to
Yo,
get into this right now, Gibbs?
Melo bring Melo back. The NBA needs Melo.
LaMelo?
No,
It's
I
absolutely
would
LaMelo,
honestly
Gibbs.
throw him on the
Fab
same
Melo?
team.
Oh,
Fab
man.
Melo.
The two Melos? What team?
Get Lonzo too.
It's gotta be the Knicks, right? The two
Oh
Melos?
God, 2 years from now,
Stay in Melo. It's a terrible joke.
they get their own reality TV show if they were like in New York.
Would that be the name?
Probably record it right out of 30 Rock.
Yeah,
Oh man, wearing those big Baller brand shoes. That's still a brand.
I thought they
they're-
went under.
Yeah, I know. I heard Lonzo talking about the shoes that he had to bring 4 different pairs for a game because after every quarter they broke.
Oh, poor Lonzo.
That big Baller brand shoes, man.
He just seems like such a good guy. I don't understand why his dad's not.
Very quiet. He's very the
Yeah.
opposite of his dad.
Polar opposite.
Yeah, no, LeVar.
How does he put up with that?
LeVar is the greatest businessman of all time.
Honestly, he hasn't been in the news enough recently.
No, he hasn't. Honestly, his appearances on like ESPN and Fox Sports, that's what made those shows interesting because you just never
Yeah.
know what.
It's
stuff
like
he's
the
gonna
one
throw.
guy who can win an argument against Skip Bayless or
Stephen A.
Stephen A.
Did he win them?
I don't know. He just screamed louder than both of them.
I feel like
entertaining.
Honestly, yeah, it was entertaining.
That's all it needs
I was
to be.
here for it.
Who can scream the loudest?
I feel like everyone who's ever argued against Skip Bayless has technically won the argument. It's just about getting him to think that you've won the argument.
Oh, I love looking
All
at
right.
Skip Bayless' old tweets that were wrong.
So fun. Like all of them are cold takes.
Yeah, and they're always there's like a Twitter account for him, and they're always just his tweets.
All right, who wins in a fight? Excuse me, Stephen A. Mr. Ball.
LaVar.
LaVar. What if you throw in Skip?
Well, I'm not picking Skip.
Is this a three-way fight or is Skip on somebody's team?
No, I mean it's 3-way. Every
Free for
man
all.
for himself.
I gotta go with Stephen A.
Stephen A.
Go on, Stephen A.
He's a little feisty.
Stephen A. probably has the better technique, but LaVar's got the size.
Yeah,
on all
LaVar's a
of them.
big guy.
I mean, Skip did average like 1.2 points in his on his high school basketball team.
Skip would get second in that fight, though, because he would just let the other two duke it out
gonna say,
first. And,
Skip seems like he'd be that savvy fighter. Yeah, he let those two go at it first, and then swoop in there, come second place. You never know. Maybe he could surprise you out there.
I'd throw down some money for that on the pay-per-view.
You got LaVar.
I got LaVar.
I'm going Stephen A. What you got, Gibbs?
Ooh, I mean, I got to go with LaVar too. He actually played in the NBA, right?
Yeah, he beat Michael Jordan in a one-on-one.
He's undefeated, never lost.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, the last sport we want to talk about here, we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks, off camera.
Easing
Teasing
into
it.
Yeah, Trev's a big soccer fan here. I play soccer myself, so follow it as well. But Gibby's the biggest fan that we know
I love soccer.
in terms of soccer. So a little Premier League update for you guys at the wrap up of the show here. Trev, what do you got for us?
Yeah, it's still young in the season. I mean, I'd say the teams for the most part that you would expect to start well have. Obviously, there was the shock result of Norwich beating Manchester City
Pookie.
in the Premier League. Yeah, I mean, he's actually been one of the best strikers in the league thus far. But there have been some surprises. Starting at the bottom here. Did anyone see Watford being as bad as they were?
Certainly not me.
I was going to say, Gibby did not see that coming early in the
No,
year.
it came out of nowhere.
You had him as one of your top teams.
I mean,
Yeah, they
it's-
have a pretty cool crest, right?
Yeah, it's Elton John's team too.
Oh man, they're losing.
Yeah, they lost 8-0 to Manchester City over the weekend, and
They're in the cellar.
they've already sacked their manager, and they look like they're going nowhere. I thought they would be a clear mid-table team, but no, they're just struggling. Going into some of the bigger teams though, Chelsea and Man United.
Oof.
What's going on?
Well, Chelsea, if I'm not mistaken, Trev, has that transfer ban right now.
Yeah.
That has to be impacting them in terms of the players that they sign in the offseason there. Or
Well,
summer transfer window.
they obviously had the Pulisic deal agreed before the ban was in place, but they
What
still
a signing that was.
Honestly,
and they had an obligation to sign Kovacic permanently, which was agreed before the ban went in place. But really, this is the same squad they had last year, minus a bunch of pieces that they let go, and
Hazard.
Hazard, yeah, big loss for them, honestly. But yeah, they've looked. To be fair to them, I think they've looked better than Man United. And everyone sort of knew that this was coming, that they would be sort of playing the kids this year and almost in a way rebuilding for the future there. I think the season will work out for them in the end, but it's going to be a long one.
Well, Gibby had a Chelsea jersey on last week as your team.
yeah. I mean, it's either them or like DC United. How are they doing this year?
I think they're in the playoff hunt.
Is that Wayne Rooney's team?
It is.
There it is,
Although
Rooney.
he's leaving DC United at the end of the year, going to Derby County.
Traitor.
Well, I saw, didn't Wayne Rooney come out and say that he thought MLS players deserve to get paid more money?
Yeah, and he's another one of the European players that griped on the travel of the U.S.
Ooh.
Great.
Ah, that's true.
Because it's
Big
The
word.
U.S. is big.
it's very big.
It's a good observation.
Yes, it is.
We
From
wanna-
sea to shining sea.
yeah,
I love this country.
going on Man United, Pete. I know you watch a lot of soccer. What's going on there? What's wrong?
I know they've had a couple of injuries. I just don't see the dynamic playmaking there, Trev, to be honest with you. They gave away, or they transferred out Lukaku, I believe, at the beginning of the season. They got Rashford up there. Has not impressed me so far this year.
No, I think that was a mistake on their part.
Just not a lot of creativity. The one exciting player they've had, which has been a surprise, has been that Daniel James kid.
Yeah, he's just
Daniel
really
Jones.
close. Honestly, he's probably the English Daniel Jones, but all you need to know about this kid, he's really freaking fast.
Yeah, he's played pretty well for him in the games he's had so far.
No, he's been their standout player thus far, but if you're relying on a kid that you just poached from Swansea as sort of a let's hope he works out kind of guy to carry your team, I don't really see it happening for him. Honestly, both of those teams, and one I'm kind of surprised to say, Tottenham, because they've looked really bad to start the year too.
Hotspurs.
They lost to Colchester United on penalties today in the Carabao Cup. This is
a fourth-tier team?
Let me explain this to you. This is essentially the equivalent of a Major League Baseball team, like a top one, like the Houston Astros losing to a single A team.
So like the Tigers.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
It's a good one.
But
Thank God, baseball season's almost over.
yeah, no.
We successfully did not talk about that sport at all.
Honestly, with the year the
We are
Tigers
right
have
now,
had,
and we've already
we should
talked
just
about it too
leave
much.
alone.
It wasn't that tough to not talk about them.
But yet, no. All of these teams to me look vulnerable on losing out to one of the mid-table teams to get top 6. Like I think Arsenal, with all their problems, they've pulled up results out even when they haven't played well, so they should be fine for top 4.
Aubameyang.
But if you're a team like Leicester or West Ham, you got hope that you could sneak into a European spot this year.
Top 5.
Yeah.
West Ham, Gibbs.
That's what it's all about.
That's is that Mia Khalifa's team?
All right, now I'm in.
Yeah, there you go. So, and the top 2, like I said, I know Manchester City lost, but I don't think anyone's surprised to see Liverpool and Man City top 2.
Yeah.
That's what we all expected.
I do enjoy watching those two teams play. Man City, just the ball movement that they're able to have throughout the game is incredible. And then Liverpool is kind of just always on attack with those fullbacks coming up, and their front 3 is very good with Salah, Mane, and Firmino.
No, they're both exciting in entirely different ways, too. So if you're a neutral, you can enjoy the way both of them go about the game.
They both can score a lot of goals as well, which is exciting for just a neutral soccer fan in general watching.
I gotta say,
Like Gibbs.
True.
a team I wasn't expecting to really watch play as much as I have this year. But we gotta talk about them. They're sitting up in 10th. I don't think people expected them to be that high.
You talking Sheffield United, Trev?
Oh, of course. They got the overlapping center backs, which you never see.
Is that Gary Sheffield's team?
I hope so.
Swinging bat. I have seen them play, Trev, with those center backs coming up on the outside. Very creative.
It's wild. Do you think they would be left more exposed if someone took the ball off them because their main defenders are just out of the way? But no, they keep it really compact, and it confuses the hell out of people on offense.
Are they a newly promoted team, too?
They are, yeah. They were second last year.
Well, good for them, man. You gotta try something
Love
new.
to see it, yeah. Keeps the game fresh,
Exactly. I appreciate your insights there, Gibbs.
Oh, I'm happy to share.
Excellent breakdown there, Trev.
Also, I want to give a quick shout out. Moving over to La Liga, through 6 games, top of the league, Granada.
Yeah.
Not a one person picked them to win.
Oh, there you go.
It's another
I
newly.
was waiting for it.
Little Espanol.
I believe that's another newly promoted team too.
Oh, wow.
Just bossing it in La Liga.
Who
Hanging
would
up
have
the
thunk
top.
that?
I know you didn't. Neither did I.
Came out of nowhere.
But yeah, that's all I got for the soccer. So
Well, appreciate the soccer coverage there, Trev.
Thanks for keeping us updated over there on what's going on across the pond.
Exactly. Oh, I like it. Try to change it up every week. Break down 2 different sports. Maybe a little bit of hockey potentially. It starts up pretty soon, guys.
yeah, preseason's starting up. I know the Red Wings are up in
It's that
Traverse
time of
City.
year. Yeah.
It's a very long season for hockey.
No,
Basketball.
It's about a month shorter than basketball.
Well, basketball, like you said, will be starting up like a month later. I think October 23rd. So as those get rolling, we'll get more into those as well. I don't know about basketball preseason, but once the actual games get going.
Yeah, like after Christmas.
Yeah, but look forward to some Red Wings and Pistons coverage. Also, we got college basketball too.
It's almost time.
Yeah, not too far away.
It's another good one.
It's the sport everyone in Michigan's looking forward to.
MSU's preseason number 1 right now.
I don't know if I feel confident about that. It's never a good sign when you're number 1.
We got the target on our backs.
Amen. Well, I believe that wraps up this week's episode, guys.
Yeah, it does.
It's a good time.
Like I said, thanks for watching.